When whistleblower Frances Haugen pulled back the curtain on Facebook last fall, thousands of pages of internal documents showed troubling signs that the social media giant knew its platforms could be negatively impacting youth and were doing little to effectively change it. With around 21 million American adolescents on social media, parents took note. Today, there are more than 1,200 families pursuing lawsuits against social media companies, including TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Roblox, and Meta, the parent company to Instagram and Facebook. More than 150 lawsuits will be moving forward next year. Tonight, you'll hear from some of the families suing social media. We want to warn you that some of the content in this story is alarming, but we thought it was important to include because parents say the posts impacted their kids' mental health and, in some cases, helped lead to the death of their children.
The story will continue in a moment.
They're holding our children hostage, and they're seeking and preying on them.
Preying on them?
Yes.
The Spence family is suing social media giant Meta. Kathleen and Jeff Spence say Instagram led their daughter Alexis into depression and to an eating disorder at the age of 12.
We realized that we were slowly losing her. We really had no comprehension to how severe social media had affected our daughter. She was being drawn into this hidden space and this dark world.
It began after the Spences, both middle school teachers from Long Island, New York, gave 11-year-old Alexis a cell phone to keep in touch with them after school.
We had very strict rules from the moment she had the phone. The phone was never allowed in the room at night. We would keep the phone in the hall.
We checked the phone. We put restrictions on the phone.
I would wait for my parents to fall asleep, and then I would just sit in the hallway, or I would sneak my phone in my room. I wasn't allowed to use a lot of apps, and they had a lot of the parental controls on.
And so how quickly did you figure out a way around the restrictions?
Pretty quickly.
Hoping to connect and keep up with friends, Alexis joined Instagram. Instagram policy mandates users are 13 years old. Alexis was 11.
Just made up a song and it's called Rain.
I thought you had to be 13.
It asks you, are you 13 years or older? I checked the box yes, and then just kept going.
And there was never any checks?
No verification or anything like that.
If I had picked up your phone, would I have seen the Instagram app on there?
No. There were apps that you could use to disguise it as another app. So you could download like a calculator, but it's really Instagram.
There was always some workaround.
She was outwitting you.
Right, she was outwitting us.
She was addicted to social media, and we couldn't stop it. It was much bigger than us.
Now, 20, Alexis says an innocent search on Instagram for fitness routines led her into a dark world.
It started as like fitness stuff, and then I guess that would spark the algorithm to show me diets. It then started to shift into eating disorders.
What were you seeing?
People would post photos of themselves who were very sickly or just very thin and using them to promote eating disorders.
These are some of the images that were sent to Alexis through Instagram's algorithms, which process the user's browsing history and personal data, then push content to them they never directly asked for. What did you learn from looking at these pro-anorexic websites?
A lot. Learning about diet pills and how to lose weight when you're 11 and going through puberty and like your body is supposed to be changing. It's hard.
When did that stop being something that you looked at and start being something that you were doing to yourself?
Within months.
Did it normalize it for you? Did you think, oh, well, other people are doing this?
Yeah, definitely. Like, they needed help. I needed help. And instead of getting help, I was getting advice on how to continue.
Smile nice.
By the time she was 12, Alexis had developed an eating disorder. She had multiple Instagram accounts and says she would spend 5 hours a day scrolling through the app, even though it often made her feel depressed. She drew this picture of herself in her diary, crying, surrounded by her phone and laptop, with thoughts reading, "Stupid, fat, kill yourself."
I was struggling with my mental health. I was struggling with my depression and my body image. And social media did not help with my confidence. And if anything, it made me, hate myself.
It all came to a head her sophomore year when Alexis posted on Instagram that she didn't deserve to exist. A friend alerted a school counselor.
That was the scariest day of our lives. I got a call to come to the school, and I went there, and they were just showing me all of these Instagram posts of how Alexis wanted to kill herself and hurt herself. And if Instagram has all the software to protect them, why was that not flagged? Why was that not identified?
This previously unpublished internal document reveals Facebook knew Instagram was pushing girls to dangerous content. It says that in 2021, an Instagram employee ran an internal investigation on eating disorders by opening up a false account as a 13-year-old girl looking for diet tips. She was led to this content and recommendations to follow Skinny Binge and Apple Core Anorexic. Other memos show Facebook employees raising concerns about company research that revealed Instagram made 1 in 3 teen girls feel worse about their bodies, and the teens who used the app felt higher rates of anxiety and depression. What was it like when you saw those Facebook papers for the first time?
Sickening. The fact that I was sitting there struggling and hoping to save my daughter's life, and they had all these documents behind closed doors that they could have protected her, and they chose to ignore that research.
Attorney Matt Bergman represents the Spence family. He started the Social Media Victims Law Center after reading the Facebook papers and is now working with more than 1,200 families who are pursuing lawsuits against social media companies like Meta.
Time and time again, when they have an opportunity to choose between safety of our kids and profits, they always choose profits.
Next year, Bergman and his team will start the discovery process for the federal case against Meta and other social media companies, a multi-million-dollar suit that he says is more about changing policy than financial compensation. Bergman spent 25 years as a product liability attorney, specializing in asbestos and mesothelioma cases. He argues the design of social media platforms is ultimately hurting kids.
They have intentionally designed a product that is addictive. They understand that if children stay online, they make more money. It doesn't matter how harmful the material is.
So the fact that these kids ended up seeing the things that they saw that were so disturbing wasn't by accident, it was by design.
Absolutely. This is not a coincidence.
Isn't it the parents' job to monitor this stuff?
Well, of course it is. I'm all for parental responsibility, but these products are explicitly designed to evade parental authority.
So what needs to be done?
Number one is age and identity verification. That technology exists. If people are trying to hook up on Tinder, there's technology to make sure that the people are who they say they are. Number two would be turn off the algorithms. There's no reason why Alexis Spence, who was interested in exercise, should have been directed toward anorexic content. Number three would be warnings. So that parents know what's going on. Let's be realistic. You're never going to have social media platforms be 100% safe. But, these changes would make them safer.
And her favorite pose.
Right now, the Roberts family says social media is not safe for kids. England Roberts was the baby in a large family, the center of her parents' Tony and Brandy's world.
She made every day
Special.
every day. Every day felt like Christmas here.
But England's life online told a different story. As the pandemic played out, England wrote about struggles with self-worth, relationships, and mental health. One August night in 2020, just a few hours after Tony and Brandy kissed their 14-year-old smiling daughter goodnight, Brandy received a text from a parent of one of England's friends who was worried about England and suggested they check on her.
We went upstairs and we checked, and her door was locked, and that was kind of odd. I took the key from the top, and we opened the door, and no England. And when I turned around, that's when I found her. When you find your child hanging, and you are in that moment in disbelief, it's just no way. Not, our baby, not our child. And then ultimately, I fault myself.
Why do you fault yourself?
I'm dead. Supposed to know.
Prior to that night, you had no idea that she was depressed.
Not even close.
Like the Spence family, Tony Roberts started connecting the dots after the Facebook papers came out
I knew her password.
and began digging through his daughter's phone for answers. He found an Instagram post sent to England from a friend.
There was a video, and that video was a lady on Instagram pretending to hang herself. And that's ultimately what our child did. Because you ask yourself, how did she come up with this idea? And then when I did the research, there it was. She saw it on Instagram. It was on her phone.
If that video wasn't sent to her, because she copied it, she wouldn't have had a way of knowing how to do that certain way of hanging yourself.
Nearly a year and a half after England's death, that hanging video was still circulating on Instagram with at least 1,500 views. Tony Roberts says it was taken down in December 2021. The Roberts are suing Meta, the parent company to Instagram.
If they so-called monitor and do things, how could it stay on that site? Because part of their policy states they don't allow for self-harm photos, videos, things of that nature. So who's holding them accountable?
Meta declined our request for an interview, but its global head of safety gave us this statement, telling us we want teens to be safe online and that Instagram doesn't allow content promoting self-harm or eating disorders, and that Meta has improved Instagram's age verification technology. But when 60 Minutes ran this test 2 months ago, our colleague was able to lie about her age and sign up for Instagram as a 13-year-old with no verifications. We were also able to search for skinny and harmful content. And while this prompt came up asking if we wanted help, we instead clicked See Posts and easily found content promoting anorexia and self-harm, showing more rigorous change is needed. A challenge the Spence and Roberts families are ready for.
We're being gaslighted by the big tech companies that it's our fault, when really what we should be doing as parents is banding together and say, no, you need to do better. I'm doing everything I can. You need to do better.
We've lost, we've learned, but what's going to stop these companies from continuing to let things happen if they don't change or be forced to make a change?
Social media is a silent killer for our children's generation. That's the conclusion I've come to. Why is everyone in power that can help change this? Why is it not changing quick enough? If our children are truly our future, what's the wait?
Fighting for social media regulation.
There's room for tech companies to be held accountable.
Plus, mental health resources for kids and families in crisis at 60minutesovertime.com.